to this update on this beautiful Friday, July the 3rd, one day before the 250th anniversary of the United States of America. A beautiful round birthday party we will have tomorrow on Saturday. And we will still be live, of course, because every day we need to cover what's going on over the weekend. Probably not too much Tesla, but the markets. AGI is not stopping. We have some news today about Fable. We will review that, but also Meta on the model side, and want to watch what is happening in AGI land. Very important for SpaceX, very important for all of us as humans, very important for capital markets. But of course, we have to talk about yesterday, the completely insane drop of Tesla. Insane not just because it was a huge drop, it was a total deja vu of the week before when it happened on a random Monday. But also, why did this happen after deliveries? And what happens next? Now, there is a lot of talk all over the world and on X and everywhere why this drop happened. And I will make it very short. You know, I'm no BS getting to the point. No one knows. It makes no sense. I predicted that we will very likely see a sell the news effect. I said if we hit 350 or something, we are probably going to sell off. If we hit 380, I said we might go up, and then we hit 380 and we went down. But I was totally not surprised that we sell off, because that was expected after this crazy run-up of Tesla. But I absolutely did not expect that we are selling off 7%. I was more thinking about 415, 410. 393 is truly insane. And something weird is definitely going on. And you saw this crazy drop here, June 22nd, where we also dropped like a stone for no good reason. There was a little sell-off in Korea. I took heavy tactical losses here and prepared for a massive rebound, which exactly happened. So I was fine, but now I'm not fine again. That's how it goes. But again, not much changed other than the bullishness increases even more. And the big question, of course, is what about Monday? Will we see more crashing or not? I definitely bet against that. And we have first news that this is probably the right move. You see in Europe today, Tesla up 7 points. I have to actually check if that is still true for today. I didn't even check that Tesla Europe trading. If Tesla had a good day, and we will get in a second to what actually happened. That makes this a bullish situation. I think Tesla is up 0.62% here, but this is in euros, so this is a little confusing and hard to understand. But up 2 points, so not too crazy. But what we have is a bunch of news. And maybe the most important news is that Tesla has launched a new market for robotaxi, unsupervised, and that new market is in Miami. So we have actually now unlocked an additional city, and that is, of course, good news, right? We have here some news. Here we see robotaxi first ride in Miami, unsupervised, no safety driver there. Tesla officially announced that, so we are live in Miami, and we even have a map here. Someone created this map, as you see. So the red is Tesla. Tesla is now live in Miami. Here's Miami Beach, and here's randomly around the airport in Miami, where Tesla is now live, but we know this is expanding very quickly. The blue is Waymo, so Waymo is already there, of course. Is this huge news? It's not huge news, but it's also not totally side news. I think it justifies a little bit of a positive momentum. That will not drive Tesla up like crazy, but the weekend didn't even begin. And let's see what else happens. We also heard Lars Moravi before, I think the day before, on Herbert with Jeff Lutz in the interview, saying on Tuesday there's some form of reveal in Austin, Texas about scaling, something related to scaling. No one knows what it is. I do not expect some crazy news. So my main reason to be not totally bearish on this crazy situation here is that this is clearly oversold. Of course, we can always drop more because once you go irrational, you can stay irrational. But it's really against the trend. We also see the Kospi, which is never shown here, unfortunately. The Kospi going up. In Korea, we saw some rebounding there. You know that the Korean market constantly crashes like crazy. Is today up 5.76%, which sounds like insane, but don't forget it's Korea, so it drops like a stone and then rallies up again, and it's also up insanely 90% year to date. So that's the entire Korean market because of Samsung and SK Hynix, these semiconductor and RAM chips driven by the AI and AGI economy. So Korea is completely drowning in money right now. And these pullbacks where the market crashes 10% are actually very minute compared to this crazy rally, but it irritates our markets a little bit. So the bottom line with Tesla is, yes, this is extremely annoying. No one understands what happens. All the explanations I heard from everywhere, from Gene Munster to Dan Ives to everyone, were insufficient. No one actually knows what's going on. The main theory is Tesla ran up too much in anticipation. There was leaking of the numbers, of course. It ran up from 370 all the way to basically 430. Too much run up, and is still up 6% in 5 days. Don't forget that. 6% in 5 days. So yeah, the crash was insane, but we are still up 6% in 1 week. But don't forget, from a ridiculously low number, 370, which was completely inappropriate. So I would say the crash is still totally overdone for just to sell the news effect. 410 would be fair in my opinion. And so that might be a magnet that we're going over 400 quickly. But you don't know. Very short term, you have to be cautious. Something is going on with the stock. These moves are too amplified. I had a bad feeling already on the run up because the run up was just too much, right? You can't just go up 16% for no good reason. So I was prepared for a drop, but that drop was surprising because I think now we are completely oversold. Let's see what happens. This is all trivial, back and forth. The big question is, will we see CyberCap release? Will we see CyberCap actually getting into gear? No pun intended. Probably doesn't have gears. I don't know. In July, I think yes, but of course we can't be sure. I thought it happens in June. Now it's July. Who knows if it happens? But that is the big question we are all facing. Will CyberCap actually start scaling or not? So for anyone who is not a completely tactical trader, but a mid or long-term investor, there is no doubt in my mind this is a absolutely perfect entry point. A gift from heaven for cheap stocks in one of the most transformational companies in the age of AGI that is also super cheap right now compared to SpaceX, for example, and is at the precipice of something enormous because CyberCap is coming. We don't know if it's coming this month or next month or the month after or the month after. Who knows? But with every month it doesn't come, the odds go up vastly exponentially. And I think the odds that this happens this year is 90%, 95% at this point. Yeah, that is what's happening. Can look a little bit at here's a summary by Zoya Merritt about Tesla before we go to some other topics. V14 Lite began rolling out, not important, but for the Hardware 3 owners, important. The people who have old Teslas can now also use this. Production CyberCaps have started with no steering wheels. So now CyberCap is in full production mode to churn these things out without a steering wheel. Very important. Tesla reported its best ever Q2 vehicle deliveries and beating expectations vastly. 406,000 expected, 480,000 delivered, and stock crashes like crazy. And we have launched in Miami. Plus, on Tuesday, Lars Moravi, of course, famously here, announced.
Talk about it right now, but it's part of the scaling effort. So, all right. So in a week from Tuesday, there'll be some cool news about things happening on the campus at Texas, and I can't talk about it right now, but it's part of the scaling effort.
Part of the scaling. something huge is happening in Austin, Texas, on the Gigafactory. So you guys probably knew about that. That is happening. And let's just take a quick look into the market at large. Also, of course, we have now Claude Fable back, the fabulous Fable creature. Mythos, the most advanced AI model in the world, is now available again, slightly lobotomized by the US government. That is what happens. For those of you who don't know, which is probably no one, Fable launched to the world at Claude, available in Claude, blew everything out of the water except what I do. Writing sucks, thinking sucks. I don't even know what people have with Fable, but the people who use it for coding are all in agreement that this thing is transformational. And then someone used it for some hacking and cybersecurity. Issues emerged, and the Trump administration said, take this thing off or you're all going to jail. And they basically stopped it immediately, stopped the rollout, pulled it back. No one could access Fable for 2 weeks roughly. And in the meantime, they have worked with the government to ensure it cannot be used as a cyber weapon. Useful to ensure that. And now it's back, lobotomized. So what you see here is Fable 5 in gray before, in June release. And the new one in orange is the current release. And you see that it changed a little bit down, right? So Code Arena front end, a little dumber. Vision, a little smarter. Document, much smarter. That's good. Text overall, a little down. Expert, actually a little up. Creative writing, a little up, but forget this creative writing. This thing sucks. Text coding, significantly down, 20 points. Text hard prompts, 3 points down. And longer query, 4 points up. So you see it's changed. They changed the harness. If you want certain things from this thing, it just stops working for you. So they made it more safe, but a lot of people complain about it and say now it's maybe a little bit better than Opus, but it lost a lot of its appeal. Whatever, I'm not the biggest fan of this thing anyway. We also have some news from Meta, where Alexander Wang, the head of Meta AI, and of course the founder of Scale, a very cool startup that Meta acquired for a lot of money, I think 15 billion or something crazy. They are working on Meta's next frontier model. And you probably know that Meta, looks a little weak. People are not happy with Meta as a AI competitor and said they have failed. The new model is codenamed Watermelon, has already caught up with OpenAI's GPT 5.5 on internal benchmarks. One interesting detail, Meta's new AI frontier model reportedly uses an order of magnitude more compute than Avocado. Wow. Avocado. Meta's internal codename for Muse Spark. Meta is making significant progress in the AI model race. Its superintelligence chief, Alexander Wang, told employees today. In an internal town hall, Wang said that Meta's upcoming AI model, which is codenamed Watermelon, has caught up with OpenAI's flagship GPT 5.5 model, he said, according to 2 sources familiar with the matter. Wang cited the achievement based on closely followed AI model benchmarks. It's not clear which benchmarks Wang cited. And so Meta is expected to release an Opus model in the very near future. Reportedly, Mark Zuckerberg's disappointment with agentic AI was directed at the field of agentic AI in general, rather than at Meta specifically. Maybe you have heard that Zuckerberg said he's very disappointed with the progress in agentic AI, and people interpreted this as a failure. And then Alexander Wang, the boss of Meta's AI, said, first, Mark was clearly talking about the industry's progress on agentic capabilities on the whole. That's what I would say if I would be in charge of Meta's AI. But maybe Alexander is right. But while we are on the topic, our next Muse Spark update is coming soon. Big improvements in coding and agentic capabilities to be more competitive with other leading models. Excited to get these into your hands. We'll be rolling out Meta AI and our new API. So I also think, I'm not up to the latest here, that they stopped doing or releasing open source models. They had Llama, the Lame Llama, which was an open source model. And now they are not open anymore. Interesting competitive situation going on here. Of course, very sad that that Meta is not open anymore. Is Meta still developing open source AI models or all closed? Let's ask Google Gemini. Google Gemini says Meta is actively developing both open source and closed source models, while the company originally made its name in AI bio publicly releasing open weight llama models. It has shifted towards a hybrid strategy. Closed proprietary models. Meta has developed and released highly powerful proprietary systems. For example, the company introduced the Muse line of models such as Muse Spark. So that is closed. Open source, open weight models. Meta continues to develop and publicly release versions of a llama model. So all the stuff we are talking about here, watermelon is closed, I assume. Let's see what we hear there. Yes. So watermelon. So of course, the most powerful models are also closed now for this whole situation. So interesting what's happening. Fable releases again. Meta makes progress. Some people also say NVIDIA's open source model is becoming very good. The Chinese are catching up. DeepSeek is getting better and better. Kimi is the preferred model right now still for Cursor, the world's most advanced harness. Grok is getting very good. All in all, we see a lot of continued progress. The myth of AI not making progress anymore is definitely a myth and not true. That's very important for us at Pioneer Lands. We need to watch out what's happening with the frontier models so we understand where we stand with this whole situation. We have 3 more little news. One is actually something I should have said with FSD. Just a little side note. Tesla FSD, good news. Germany, a very big country in Europe, some say it's the biggest in Europe, is actually working on a potential approval outside the EU-specific approval for FSD in Deutschland. So here is the response of the parliamentary state secretary of the Federal Minister of Transport about FSD in Germany. And here Christian Hütten says, Dear Mavo93, yes, there will be something coming this month. So here, what are they saying? In concrete terms, that means that's the ministry. More easy approval rules and pilot regions for autonomous transport, more incentives for compute centers in the communes or districts, and a faster build out of the electricity grid, the electric grid, in that the time to finish for a new project is supposed to be cut in half. So that's not that important, that's AI related, but when it comes to FSD, we might actually see a surprise in July. For Germany, I did not have that at all on the radar. And here, Germany might actually get FSD in just a couple of weeks. And that would be a big deal because Germany is by far the largest car market in the European Union. Most importantly, it's not the biggest market. It's not that big for Tesla because the Germans are so difficult and they're not buying Tesla so much. So FSD could be actually a big catalyst. And I like the situation that Germany is actually way behind its potential for Tesla, but FSD will be a huge selling point for Germans. So if that happens, that's going to be a big sales driver. So that could actually move the stock. This is a stock moving event, in my opinion, because it could impact sales in a very direct way. Very direct, because, you know, once FSD is released in a country, it has huge PR effects and huge sales effects. So that will be very important. Okay. So let's continue in our little news flow here. I have two more things unrelated to Tesla or anything else. But here, very important, totally political news. You know that the biggest terror attack on German soil since World War II was the destruction of Nord Stream 2, which was the declared goal of the Biden administration. Not to blame Biden, I think it was generally a strategic goal of the United States to cut Germany off from Russian gas and oil, which is fine as long as you don't do anything about it. That's interference, extreme interference. It's kind of an act of war, to be honest. And there was a lot of speculation. Biden said they know what to do if Germany doesn't voluntarily stop that pipeline. The pipeline was finished and was even planned to go into effect. And as you probably know, Germany is a very large country that needs a lot of energy. Russia is a much, much larger country that has enormous amounts of energy. Russia is also a geopolitical kind of rival or foe of the United States. Europe is debatable. And America doesn't like to see a dependency and mutual beneficial relationship between between Germany and Russia for very strategic reasons. That's not a big secret. What happened then is someone blew that thing up, which is extremely bad. By the way, the biggest climate catastrophe that ever happened. It's very funny that no one talks about that. This thing released more methane, I think, into the atmosphere than whatever. Like, you could basically drive all cars of Europe like for an entire year or two in order to have the same contribution to climate change here. So no one is interested in these kinds of facts, of course. And now Germany is actually investigating or accusing, not accusing, but actually bringing them to court, a Ukrainian special forces or officer of the Ukrainian army who was very likely doing this stuff, and the Germans have accumulated all kinds of evidence for that. So it was the Ukrainians. It's the question whether the United States knew about that. Very likely they did. The question is also some Norwegian involvement. There's all kinds of theories. The big beneficiaries, of course, are Norway and the United States, because they now deliver the energy that Germany doesn't have. And the biggest victim of this whole thing are the Germans, because they're paying through the nose for energy. And the second victim, of course, is Russia, because they can't deliver the energy. Even though it would be a question if the German government, the current German government, would probably not even open the pipeline if it would be available. There's a second pipeline available, by the way. So this is a very big deal in Germany, and politically it's something highly debated, because the AfD doesn't find that very funny that other people blow up Germany's energy infrastructure for geostrategic reasons. And it also doesn't look good for Ukraine if they blow up German infrastructure, because Germany gives them a shit ton of money. Not as much as the United States, maybe, but enormous amounts of money, and the Germans are not happy about it. So this is explosive stuff. Let's see how this goes. And finally, we have more political news here. Very interesting. I should actually find that timeline. In the US midterms, there is a total reversal happening right now. And the reversal is that the Republicans are now in the lead again to win the US Senate after they lost their lead in the Iran war. And so that is a very interesting, that's a very interesting development. Let's see if I can pull up the Kalshi original and see the exact timeline here. It is here. When did this all happen? What is this? I don't want this. Let's see. This happened on March. Yeah, Iran started, and of course the Republicans get destroyed on Iran because everyone hates this war. And of course the Democrats are very likely to win the House. but they're not going to win the Senate. And then the Republicans imploded a little bit. Democrats took over. And then in May 5th, when this thing settled down a little bit, the Republicans are now taking the lead again. Isn't that interesting? We can also see midterms, House. Which party will win the House? Here, the Democrats should lead much more. And you see this happening here. And very parallel to the situation, Iran war drove that up even more. And same around May, you saw that the Republicans caught up a little bit, but are now losing again. But the Senate was very scary, and that seems to be settled. So this is just evidence that this Iran situation wasn't good for Trump, but also that by ending it, he's able to actually gain ground faster than most would have expected. And my prediction is if he can keep his little fingers off this whole thing, that he can recover from this a little faster than people expect. And also, people have not forgotten what the Democrats have done to the country. So it is not that Trump gets all the hate. It is once, we take the foot off the gas of this insanity, there is a lot of recovery that can happen. Very interesting to observe this, and we keep our eyes on that because it has huge repercussions. If the Republicans would lose the Senate, that would be ideal. Okay, and it doesn't look like they will now. But who knows what's happening? It's still a long way to go. So that's it for today. The quick lightning round on politics, AGI, and the markets. Let's go back here. Is this something? Oh, unemployment. We can talk about unemployment quickly. The employment numbers, of course, look bad. Good for the Fed, good for markets, bad for employment. Here is actually long-term a number of unemployed per 1,000 employed. And what we see here is 2020, that the trend is actually up. The trend is up. We are now higher than in 2017. Since then was a downtrend. Here was COVID, total peak. Then we went down back here. But since then, there's an uptrend. No one knows why. I have my suspicions. Efficiency, corporate profits, AGI. The big debate whether we see an employment problem or not, I think we absolutely will. It's completely insane to assume there won't be an employment problem. But of course, the AI crowd says, no, we will have more jobs than before. Doesn't look like it. Okay, let's switch to a cyber cap just for fun while we go to the comments and see what you guys think. Cyber cap, we want to see something nice to look at. Oh, they give me Lars. I said something nice and we see it Lars. We want to see a cyber cap. Maybe here we loop this. We keep the sound low because I get complaints about sound. And let it drive. This is the safety monitor in an engineering vehicle without any controls. Okay, let's see what the chat says. Boom. Let's go to the top. Is everyone in a good mood for the big birthday? Paddy, the Irishman, is back. He says, let's go, Joe. My buddy who I convinced to invest in Tesla messaged me. He only messages me when Tesla is doing something. Oh, he's probably not happy. Core Principles Explained. I love the name. That's a good name. Joe, with a massive deliveries beat and therefore massive additional margins on FSD, surely the stock will run between now and the earnings call. I think so. I definitely think so, especially from here after getting killed. Lightsy Tefel says rockets coming 490. Well, let's hope so. Day traders at this point are manipulating the stock. I think sell the news. Yes, I mean this did not look normal. This was a very extremely wrong move, an extreme rug pull. I was not happy. Wow, Aconda gave us the biggest shout out I've ever had. He pressed pause to watch this live, Joe live, instead of Citizen Vigilante. I hope all of you guys watched my video on Citizen Vigilante. The most important movie of the decade is my prediction. And most movie geeks will totally not get it because this is not a movie. It is a political event of grand proportions. You should watch my last video because I covered Citizen Vigilante. Of course, I got less clicks than still got good clicks, but I got less than on Tesla videos because people only want to hear about Tesla. But it is very important that we watch the world that surrounds us. And forgive me for being so late on the Pioneer Academy and Pioneer Daily updates. It's very complicated, but I'm making very good progress and I hope to get something out in July. The new core curriculum that goes way beyond stocks and tells us the core story of our time. The age of AGI, the age of chaos, and the age of pioneers. And so Citizen Vigilante is a very important movie. So, Akonda, I'm very honored that you press pause. But Citizen Vigilante is not running away. I can hear you. That's very good. Stock is back up 400 USD on German stock exchange so far today at least. Yes, I saw a little less, but something like this, yes. Politically Incorrect is back. Greetings from Ahwatukee, Arizona. You know, you guys, that here on the stream, you're meeting the pioneers from all around the world, from Paddy the Irishman to Politically Incorrect from Ahwatukee, Arizona, all in real time. And of course, Thorpe Jernstry from beautiful Denmark. Thor is a cool name, by the way. Where are you in Denmark? Tell me more. And Sean IXT, hello Joe and family. The global family from all amazing places here. And we have also Philip here from Cape Elizabeth, Maine. Beautiful. Happy birthday, America. Well, it's a little early. Let's wait. Not prematurely, but tomorrow, yes. Happy birthday, America. 250 years. You're looking good. Kind of. You're looking a little like you're stressed right now, but it's fine. At this point, short sellers pump and dump Tesla stock. It's true. I think that was a very coordinated thing, very targeted. But if that's true, we should see a V-shaped recovery on Monday. But let's not jinx it. Who the hell knows? Also important here, Ralph Kinch says, and Ralph is absolutely correct. I can confirm that. Texas DMV registered vehicles are up again, this time to over 100 unsupervised in Texas. Yes. I hope it drops more. Want to buy some? No, I definitely don't hope it drops more because I am exposed right now. We have Titan IV Pad Rat. Hello from Florida, Space Coast. Beautiful, the Space Coast. Cape Canaveral. I'm finally got here close to the beginning. Glad to have you here. We have Arizona, we have the desert, we have beautiful Maine, we have the southeast coast, Cape Canaveral, we have beautiful Denmark. We have so many different people, pioneers, I should say. Richie Cash says, growth stocks sold off from fear of new Fed chair raising rates. However, the momentum along with future deflationary data will carry stocks higher. I totally agree. We are in a total bull market. This is all fake news. I'm also watching Micron Technologies right now. I think I don't have a position, but this thing is trading at like 6 or 7 forward price earnings ratio. Can you even imagine? This thing grows at 80%, 100% a year and trades literally at 6 PE forward because the market believes there is no way in hell that this thing can continue to grow like this. But if you ask me, I think there is no way in hell that the demand for RAM goes down. So this would be very interesting. But let's wait and let it fall a little bit more. It's all good and fun, says Sean. I knew we were saying it, just giving you a hard time. Says it to Billy's. Yes. Here, Chunky Nugget says, Buenas tardes. Okidoki deshe, cerca de Starbase South Texas here. Zeki Martinez, big fan of me, deutsche Freund. Cheers, amigo. I love the multilingual capabilities of Chunky Nugget. He speaks 3 languages at once and none of them good. But I get what it means. I understand Starbase South Texas here. And fun of me, deutsche Friend. Yes, so we have Texas in the chat. RDK added this morning. Very good. Really enjoy your content. Well, I enjoy you being here with me. This is always fun. Grog said no, not to buy Tesla. Well, Grog is sometimes dumb. Physical artificial intelligence in my mind will be more important. This is a debate we had before. I think non-physical artificial intelligence is important, but non-physical is even more important. Singed says, Russia is an extremely dangerous and imperialist country. I'm glad that pipeline was destroyed. Well, but that's like saying Canada is a very dangerous and imperialist country and I'm walking into the United States and blowing up your pipelines. You can have the discussion if Russia is dangerous. We cannot have the discussion if you can blow up German-Russian pipelines. This is just an act of war. That's the problem. You know, it's not up to anyone else outside Russia and Germany to decide if this pipeline should exist or not. That's just the rules. Robotaxi was just launched in Miami. I know. Breaking news, Waymo to add more LiDAR. Of course, that's a joke, but we get the joke. Every time Waymo can't make progress, it can just add LiDAR. This is their superpower. They cannot be stopped. They can achieve anything by adding LiDAR. Because more sensors are always better. That is what Waymo believes. Not really believes, but I want to see a Cybercab from the outside. Or let's just watch this stuff here. Joe Tech, I'm just changing the background. Ooh, but no sound, otherwise I get complaints. Republicans are the only adults in Congress. Hopefully they win the midterms. Well, they can't win the House, I guess. I wouldn't call them adults, but the Republicans' greatest selling points is, of course, the Democrats. The Republicans do not win votes by talking about themselves. They win votes by talking about the Democrats. Democratic Socialists of America leader says many in group would be thrilled at AOC. Who's the leader of the Socialists of America? Is it Bernie or is it some dude no one knows? AOC and Crockett or Mamdani. What about Mamdani? You can't make it up. There's this woman in Brooklyn who's broke, or not in Brooklyn, in Manhattan, this broke artist woman who's crying that life is so unfair because it's her dream city. She moved there, but she can't afford it. And then she is crying when she talks about Mamdani's speech because it's so hard moving. It's like, what are these people doing? Why do we have to pay for them? Why many people hate Tesla? I don't know why. I love Tesla. What are your thoughts launching in Miami and Tesla's video of Cybercab testing on the streets of Austin? Seems like the real world progress disagrees with the stock price trends. Yes, but I think that was a little bit of a weird sell-off. I don't think that will hold. And we always have to understand, I think I'm always surprised when I see even professionals discussing these stock drops. This stock drop is not inspired by any fundamental thinking or fundamental news. It's pure tactics, right? Sometimes you can corner a stock and drop it. It's like asking, why is GameStop going from 100 to 400? What is the news? It's like there is no news. It's a short squeeze. Here's no news. It's a rug pull. Okay, you have these things happening. Sometimes people understand how to corner the market. And it has absolutely nothing to do, or only indirectly to do, with fundamentals. Dover, Delaware. Beautiful. We have JK Atlantic. Great name for your location, from Dover, Delaware. Beautiful Delaware. And here we have big fan number 1, also a great name, straight from the heart of everything, Palo Alto, California. What street are you on, big fan? I lived in Menlo Park, by the way. So I know Palo Alto very well. I'm a neighbor. I lived in Menlo Park twice for 9 months. Graz. Wait, what? Matej says, by the way, Graz and hi from Slovakia. I'll be in Slovakia soon because my brother is going there with my nephew, and we're doing a little biking. I'm not doing biking. He's a pro. He's doing some biking. Winston-Salem in North Carolina. Another beautiful state. Micron is up 5% today. What do you mean today? Today? You mean in Europe? Bought another 100 Tesla shares yesterday, or Tesla or Micron? I don't know which one. Listening from Belgrade Lakes region in Maine. Wow, we have the second Mainer here. Maine is a beautiful state, by the way. Going to Pankevo in August. Wait, where's Pankevo? Here, I'm a Tesla holder, but I just believe Optimus will ever be a needle mover, considering Tesla is taking forever to get FSD right, and Optimus is 100 times more difficult. I am not sure. I was always on a different page. I think Optimus is actually easier because Optimus is such a target-rich environment. FSD is like a singular objective. And as long as you're not perfect or more than perfect in this objective, you can't launch this thing. That's why I was always scared of FSD as a business thing. Whereas Optimus, there are 10 million ways to make this profitable, even if it's not perfect, for industrial applications. So I think why I'm much more confident they will keep Optimus timelines in some sort is because for Optimus, the bar is much lower. Sure, a perfect Optimus is more complex than a perfect FSD, but you don't need it perfect. Client number 9 says, sorry, Belgrade, Serbia. No, Belgrade Lakes, Maine. When will we see Tesla semi-truck catalyst? I'm not following the exact timeline on the semi-truck, but they need to deploy this thing. I think it can be a while, maybe. I think it's more 2027, in my opinion. Client number 9 says, in my opinion, hotels will own multiple robotaxis as a perk to pick up people from the airport. Yeah, I don't know if you can like book. Well, you could book them for your clients. Yeah, you could probably arrange something like this. It's an absolute show stealer. What is it? Steals the show. So Micron is up 5% in Europe. I don't know how sustainable that is, but it's an interesting sign. Video Tao says, hi from Boca Raton, Florida. Also very beautiful. Boca Raton, there's a great MRI situation. There's there's Prenuvo, I think, in Boca Raton. You can do full body preventative screenings. That's what I was involved with before. Episte from knowledge, Epistepoet says, you're quite popular in Maine because I'm also in coastal Maine. Maine is taking the crown today. We have 3 people from such a tiny state, 3 people, total overrepresentation. It's like Denmark. So we have 3 people from Maine. I'm very happy because Maine is so beautiful. Client number 9, Ubers do not want to operate in small towns. Yes, there are many reasons why Uber is completely toast. 98F in Jersey. What is 98F? 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 98F in Jersey. What is that? Where is this in Jersey? Big fan says, I can't tell you the street show. It's too secret. Okay, I understand. Optimus is also a lot less likely to cause injury or death if it messes up compared to FSD. Exactly, especially in industrial applications, there's zero risk. You can deploy these things way before they're perfect. Not at home, but in all these industrial applications. So I think Optimus can be scaled much faster because you can sell 1 million Optimus before they're ready. Because all these businesses want pilots or they need pilots to get used to this thing. I think you can launch Optimus at scale next year. Because even if this thing is only perfect in 2030, you can start selling, 10,000, 50,000 next year, then hundreds of thousands the year after, and then 1 million the year after before it's perfect, because everyone will fade into that age of robots on the industrial side. And then you can sell infinity. So I think people underestimate Optimus because they're projecting too much the FSD problem on Optimus. It's a different problem. I think we'll see some Cybercaps launching 7.7, says Aram N2Y. Could absolutely happen. Optimus looks like a good future for Tesla to me. Yes. Eclectic Gamer says, launch, they're still doing engineering testing, but Eclectic Gamer, you know that they just switched on production for controls-less Cybercap. So why are they doing that? Think about it. This is a big deal. I think yesterday or 2 days ago, they started launching Cybercaps without controls. That's not for engineering testing. Deep Future Fund asks, what kind of premium is priced into Tesla share? Well, I can tell you exactly how much premium. Nothing. Because Tesla is now 20% below all-time highs, and at all-time highs, no one thought about the SpaceX merger. So clearly we have no premium in it, which is very dumb. Eclectic Gamer 77, they will tell us that Cybercap scaling is dramatically easier, better than they expected, but we don't see any Cybercaps deployed, so I don't think so. Oh, Showstopper, right, 17 EV. The problem is Tesla not releasing imperfect products. And since Tesla has no financial problems, Tesla can take the time. I don't know. Maybe we will see. We will see what happens. Your brother picked up Slovak Girl Award. No, I have to pick up a Slovak girl. That's my mission there. No, he picked up a Canadian girl. That's why I have a nephew. And a niece. So, Eclectic Gamer, none of the current price is based on a desire of a merger. It's not even a rumor yet. Yes. 98 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh, I thought it's the place you live in Jersey. No, but it's 98 degrees in Jersey. That's a little hot. And here, Epistepoet confirms I got it right. It's a play on epistemology and poet. Very good. Episteme means knowledge in Greek. I took ancient Greek in high school. And I liked it, actually. It was the best one. I had the best subject. And physics. What do you think will happen on July 7th? I have no idea. I think it's overrated and it will be just some stupid little factory expansion, in my opinion, that no one is interested in. Here we have JJ Bird from Merville, Vancouver Island, close to my other old home in Vancouver, Washington. Not that close. Vancouver, Washington is at the river next to Portland. So it's a little south on the southern border of Washington State and not as beautiful as your Vancouver, but also nice. How about the cherry on top? Roadster. Well, I've given up hope, but it's coming at some point. We can use Optimus to build Optimus. That is completely correct. Why did the stock drop post deliveries? I think it was a tactical market cornering trick. They ran up the stock too much and then they wanted to rug pull it. There are lots of people who can make infinity money. If you can corner a stock like this and you can start manipulating the market and you are in the driver's seat, no pun intended, so you can time this on a specific day, you can print infinity money. Of course, it's slightly illegal, but it's America. No one cares. So I think that's what's happening all the time. We have to be a little cautious. It happens all the time in the stock market. People manipulate this stuff. And I don't think it has any signal in there. It just means the stock is underpriced tactically. Marcicio Araujo. I remember some news about Tesla. Long-time holders would get some benefits, advantages buying SpaceX shares. I disagree. I'm short SpaceX shares indirectly through short calls, out of the money calls, because I think there's selling pressure coming on SpaceX. Bots build bots, bots building components, bots build solar, bots build everything. Yes. I'm skeptical of Optimus, but I could see one of the first large-scale uses would be grocery stores using them overnight to stock shelves. Tens of thousands of stores. Yes, politically incorrect. I think we all underestimate how huge the demand for Optimus would be. That's why I'm saying millions of these things, even in pilots, deployed multiple industries, like also agriculture, mining, warehousing. Just think about that. Even in hospitals, not for patients, but behind the scenes. Like there's just so many uses of these things. And the thing is, if you're in this business, here's the point. If you're a large hospital group, if you're a large warehousing company, if you're McDonald's, if you're any of these things, once they become available and they're reasonably good, you will call Tesla and do pilots, even knowing that these things are not ready, because you have to also adjust your processes and you have to learn and all kinds of stuff. So, you know, this is gonna happen. Big fan number 1 from Palo Alto. I should start memorizing all your locations. Big fan number 1 is in Palo Alto and can't reveal his street, which is fine. He says, I think they will most likely start out by eating their own dog food by using it in their factories in various locations. I think they're probably already doing that. Richie Cash says, Joe, you made great points on Optimus today. You strengthened my conviction on Optimus, and I'm excited to see the third version unveiled, the Market Plus Zero value in this future vertical. Yeah, I'm not like super betting on some huge stock moves because of Optimus, but I'm saying I think Optimus will become real in 2027 financially. That's my gut feeling. Mamdani just attacked Elon in a speech. Well, I'm not surprised. By the way, I think people don't understand how bad everything will become for the 2028 election and also in Europe, but mostly in the United States. I think AI will totally explode. AI will go on a murder spree for white-collar jobs in 2027, and then full scale in 2028. It will absolutely dominate the elections. There will be all kinds of dumb proposals, and the Democratic Socialists will have a field day. So, you know, buckle up. It's going to be bad. Rutger Borjesson here. AFD was at the time gaining a lot of support, wanting to open the pipeline. Therefore, the German government perhaps wanted the attack on the pipeline. Well, the German government doesn't have much of a say, of course, but yeah, I assume they knew about it, which is kind of a giant scandal, but everyone got used to that. Habibi Learning says, hi. Hi, Habibi Learning. Chunky Nugget. There's also an amazing name, by the way. Here, yesterday, heard of a lawsuit against the US government from a local South Texas wildlife conservatory group. They upset They are upset. SpaceX needs 712 more acres to continue operations in the future. I say yes to Elon. Yeah, these wildlife people. Here, Lars said they have like one line of 40 in the interview of Optimus ready. I don't know if that's good or bad. No, he said they have one of 40 sublines tested, not ready. It needs all 40 to make one bot. Are we sure about this? Optimus night guards could be used. Exactly, guards, another thing. I'm predicting we'll see the Roadster fly on July 7th. I don't think so. I think what Lars referred to was some build out. He didn't say we launch a product. Why did you move out of the United States? It's a very long story that we can't cover here, but it had to do with personal reasons and many reasons. And I got a little annoyed, but that was, I don't know if it was the fault. This is a long story. Do you think it's possible that Tesla could run up 40%? What's the market start pricing in the positive news? Yeah. Well, it can run up 25% from here very easily in absolutely no time. 40%, let's see. If 40% is a weird number, I would say 40% is unlikely. Either it runs up 25% to 490 and then falls back, or we see a repricing, then it runs up much more than 40%. Definitely 100%. Night guards are like $10 an hour. The bot would have to be hacker cheap to replace them. You can do this for much less than $10 an hour. I mean, the bots. AI white collar jobs. Isn't investing also white collar job? I catch lots of people trying to make trading bots or frameworks of some kind. No, I mean, white collar jobs are supposedly like professional jobs, professional services jobs. Investing is a special job. Investing is the equivalent of entrepreneurship and being a pioneer. So that's the last type of job that, you know, is not really a job. It's like an occupation that humans will have forever. White collar jobs are like being a lawyer or even a doctor, if you don't touch patients too much, accountants and all these kinds of people. Going to bail on Tesla at the merger announcement. Says Dude Autonomy. This was not a drop, it was a retest of a higher low. Next comes higher high. I mean, backstage tattoos has a good point. If you look at this, it totally looks like a higher low, by the way, but we are not done dropping. Let's see. If it bumps up from here, bounces from here, which it should, yeah, it's a total higher low and then higher high. I agree, that could totally happen. Yes, maybe the drop Roadster out of the Starship and it lands itself. That would be nice. Hood going to 130, Tesla to 540 by end of the year. Hood to 130, that's 30% higher than now, I guess. Could be. I'm holding my Tesla for 4 years now, did not get any preferential treatment. I received only 15 shares of SpaceX at IPO price, and I'm holding 1,400 shares of Tesla for 4 years. Well, I would recommend to keep holding them. Joe, did you make any moves on MicroStrategy? No, I just kept it. I got a little scared in between, but I mean, now it's back. So yeah, it's a total steal. I think the panic around MicroStrategy is just dumb when you look at the facts. Like, it's dumb. It was total made up panic. Yeah, that is the situation. That is the state of affairs before July 4th, tomorrow, the great 250 year anniversary. Do we see anything about that? 4th July 250. Let's end on a high birthday note for the United States. Oh, this is this Tokyo? No, this is fake. 4th of July. Is this real? I can never. Is this? I never know anymore what's real. What is that? Is that? I want to keep the sound. Oh no!
What happened?
Oh no!
Oh, my head. What a mess.
What is
Whoa,
that?
is someone there?
This did not pass my quality check. Oh no!
What?
Proof. Oh, there's Elon. I don't know what they're gonna say. I cannot approve. I first have to watch it. Star Spangled. Is this real? It's all not real, right? It's all fake. Is that real? This is so difficult to tell what's happening here. In any case, Swedish authorities recommend EU to block FSD rollout because you can set it for speeding. I know, I heard that. Ooh, the Swedes, what are they doing? The Swedes have a weird government and the elections look bad, by the way. Sweden gets all these headlines now that they're making so much progress. And what people outside Sweden don't know is, yeah, this government makes progress, but they're getting punished in September whenever it happens, and then they will lose, and Sweden gets a left-wing government again. Because the right-wing government has now made it illegal to flee from jail. I read this today. Now, if you're in jail in Sweden and you escape, they made it illegal because they're right-wing extremists. So not even the jailed people can flee anymore. And of course, that's it. The Swedes say, this is too much. You cannot make it illegal to flee from jail. I mean, where would this lead to? So, yes, we see a lot of progress in Sweden, but that will cost them their job for some reason, which is sad. Interactive Brokers, 4.75% margin interest rate. That is correct. I also have Interactive Brokers. I heard E-Trade gave everyone about 24% of their requested allocation. Yeah, Fidelity sucks. Oh God, I also have Fidelity for a corporate account. So bad. This app is the worst thing. I can never transfer money because it crashes. And then I have to go to the computer. It's ridiculous. So, yeah, that's the situation. So, it's the Swedish bureaucrats, not the politicians. Sweden is like very torn. They have like half of the politicians, or I don't know, half, maybe 40%, seem pretty reasonable. They are actually pretty pushy. They're making progress in the European Parliament. The Sweden Democrats are fine. The Moderaterna, maybe not so much. But the Swedish left wing is... It's a little different from the German left wing. The German left wing wants to literally shoot people. The German... They were leaking in the German parliament, the Linke, they were discussing, they were joking or whatever, or not joking, no one knows, how they will execute the top 1% after we shoot them. And then they continue. It's like, dudes, you're politicians. You're in parliament. You're saying you want to shoot the top 1%. It's a little radical in my opinion. But that was the same party who actually shot people. They led the communist dictatorship before in East Germany, so no surprise. So in Sweden, it's a little more civilized, but the level of delusion of the Swedish Greens and Vänster and all these people is shocking. I think the Swedish left, the Social Democrats in Sweden, they are like the mothership, they're like the lab from that all Karens were born. It's Karen Central, Karen Ground Zero. I think Sweden takes the crown for the ultimate Karen production location. The Germans are more like they want to shoot people, which doesn't happen in Sweden. I don't think the Swedish left discusses how they shoot the top 1%. That's very German. But they are completely delusional. They scare me a little bit. And the Swedish alternative and the Swedish right, they are pretty impressive. They're making a lot of progress. So unfortunately, the left is going to win. That's going to happen there. So what do we have here? Restore Great Britain and AFD. Ken, yeah, I think everyone thinks the same thing, but only everyone in our little bubble here on X and on Pioneer Lands. But the people out there, it's not so easy. Matei says X breaking over 64 million new immigrants live in Europe. This means about 14% of the EU's total population. Ursula von der Leyen, Europe is facing a housing crisis. I read this too. Yeah, you can't make this stuff up. It's unbelievable. I have massive puts for August, December against SpaceX. Along with buy orders along the drop path, money going down and back up. Yeah, Eclectic Gamer, I like short calls more than long puts because the time is on my side. And I don't think SpaceX can just pull off a short squeeze or something. It's just too big. That would be bad for me. Joe, when does the convergence happen? What convergence? There are so many convergences. If Tesla runs to 800 and SpaceX to 65, I'll probably split my portfolio 50-50 between them. Yes, me too. Any thoughts on Archer? Is ACHR Archer? I don't even know if that's Archer. Is it the flight company? Is it the company of the Figure One dude? The X company? Yes. I have to look into it, but I'm not a big fan of, what's his name? I forgot his name. The Figure guy who actually founded Archer. Tobias Johansson, I assume Swedish, says Swedish left wings are terrible and are all woke. Yeah, I mean, they're not just woke. They're the inventors of woke. Social Demokraterna are more sinister and just seek power without any agenda. Still, the right can turn it around. Really? Tobias, you should connect with me on X because I'm interested in this stuff. I want more insider information on the Swedish election. If you know my X account, you can DM me. I have some questions. I want to have insiders tell me more about the Swedish election. Because to me, as a beginner outsider, it looks totally hopeless. But, I mean, that's interesting to know that you have hope. Bogdan says, politics is boring and out of our power at the moment. Well, I wouldn't say that. What do you think about bioengineering? Hacking. I think it will explode in the 2030s. How do we use it for betterment investing so we profit? As for AI. I lived in LA. I know a lot about biohacking. I think you have two extremes that are both useless. You have the conventional medical industry. They all suck, completely corrupt. They will never get anything done. And you have the crazy biohackers who try this in their basement. They also totally suck and won't get much done. Brian Johnson and stuff. But you have a third thing that's happening. That is actually very interesting. That is independently funded bioengineering research, mostly from Silicon Valley dudes, Google and other people, where you have more longevity focused, deep research, very well funded. That is where the money is. The problem with stocks and this is not good for investing. Because whatever you pull off on the bioengineering front will not be paid for by the conventional medical system. The conventional medical system is a shit show, a horror show across the entire planet. So it's very hard to make money with medicine, like really big money, because there is no system, there is no market for this stuff right now. There's only market for fraud. So if you would develop a real drug that extends life, I'm not saying you can't make money with it, but it will be a completely new market that needs to be completely redefined in its mechanics. So it is complicated and it will be very challenging to invest in this kind of stuff. But obviously, the value you generate is enormous. So the question is capturing this value will be very tricky. And in medicine, nothing is what you think financially. Everything is fraud in medicine when it comes to finances. So that is very tricky. But there will be major progress, in my opinion. But it's not a market like, oh, I have a great car, now I will beat the competition. That's not how it works. You know, if you cure cancer, the first thing is you won't have a market, you won't have a company. So it's not that simple. Ken, what if they catch Starship in August? Bet for short bets? No, I disagree because, you know, we are talking about $2 trillion here. We are talking about money and investing in stocks, and we are talking about massive selling pressure. This catching Starship doesn't help much. This is not the big game changer financially. The big game changer would be building Colossus 3. That's a big tactical game changer. Catching Starship is just one step along the road. You need to catch Starship. You need to catch it again and again and again. You need to develop the AI satellite. You need to launch the AI satellite. You need to show you can have significant capacity in space. You need to then show people are booking this and paying for it. None of it, which is like a big problem. But now we have, it's show me time. That's the problem. Because the valuation is so high. So it's all show me time. And everyone's like, sure, catch Starship all day long. That doesn't mean you have money coming in. You know, the problem with the price of SpaceX is they have no more capacity to drive up the stock based on hopes. You need cash now. At that valuation, you need cash coming in at a massive scale. So I don't think any progress in technology will help them to get the stock price up from here. It's too high. What they need is to show massive improvements of cash flow. And the only thing that can happen short term is through Colossus 3, which might happen, by the way. But even then, it's really backfilling the whole thing. So that's why I'm not too concerned for the next 6 months that I have a short problem. And then in December, yeah, I would be very cautious. But I think it's very clear to me that the most likely outcome is SpaceX drops like a stone. People will panic. People will be very unhappy. And that will coincide exactly timing-wise with a new bottom when actually all that stuff becomes real, because SpaceX is extremely real. Wait, now I lost it. I lost the thread. I lost the thread. Oh, Big Fan says, come on, Joe, you know what I mean. I don't know what you mean. Convergence. There's too much convergence in my brain. So I don't know which convergence you mean. Convergence? No, Big Fan, I really don't know it. Maybe semi cybercap Optimus Maker pods and 50% of Terafab is plenty of upside for me over the next 10 years. Yes. If you are looking for no hope, just look at California. Yeah, I left California. I have no hope for California. I mean, it's nice, but something is fundamentally flawed. Tay says Sweden has like lots of beautiful tall blonde girls, heritage from Vikings before immigrants. Yes, it's true. That is famously true. I stopped going to doctors years ago. Feels great. Yes. Not medical advice, but I know what you're saying. I do all my medical preventative stuff myself because, I mean, I decide and then I go there. Bogdan says, I agree. So do we pioneer in this domain? What's the PC, Internet, OS, AI equivalent of bioengineering hacking? I mean, they are there too. This is a long story. I know this stuff. So basically, to be healthy, you need to combine, you know, your lifestyle stuff, which is very important. It's very, very important. Your lifestyle stuff with your preventative medicine stuff. And you need to be on top of your own preventative medicine. Don't talk to your doctor. Your doctor knows, unfortunately, nothing. So you need to comprehensively screen yourself or have yourself screened, but you need to just AI it. Like, how do you get the right imaging done? How do you get the right blood test done? You have to do it when you're 40. I would start with 40 and then do it systematically every 5 years or so. And then you can reduce your risk of death very dramatically. And the other thing is lifestyle, of course. The third pillar is what you probably mean, the real bioengineering. You can't do much there other than reading up on it, understanding who's doing what research. I have my own theories what's happening there. It's a very big deal. I just don't know how it's getting monetized because you can't deal with this in the conventional medical system. Starship Catch accelerates Starlink V3 deployments. Yeah, Ken, but my theory is very simple. You need cash. You need to have cash flow coming in. You are basically saying, oh, there will be more hype when they're making progress. I'm saying the hype is over. You need to show deals for Starlink V3. How can you have big deals for Starlink if it's not there yet? Not Starlink, by the way, it's the AI satellite. Or Starlink V3, we promise. Yeah, but you can't move the needle on this stuff. If you grow it 100%, it doesn't help. You know, you go from, how much do they make? 18 billion, 11 billion to 22 billion. Who cares? It doesn't do anything. Colossus 3 would do a lot. Colossus 3 could get you 100 billion additional revenue next year. 100 billion. So that's very interesting. Scaling of Cybercab drastically exceeds expectations. Maybe, but not yet. Elon is capable of pulling rabbits out of his head and can drive SpaceX up. Yeah, but it's just, you know, look at valuations. I mean, he can't do it with Tesla, obviously. You have to understand that SpaceX is valued much higher than Tesla. Imagine Tesla would be at 500 right now. I would be very scared of getting rug pulled. And, you know, SpaceX is effectively at 500 or 550 if you compare to Tesla. So it can get extremely rug pulled because it's also much weaker than Tesla on the substance right now. So the rabbits out of the hat, sure, but where is it for Tesla? So I don't think so. Witless says, I'm pretty new to investing, but have been holding Tesla for 6 years. I don't totally get the merger, but if SpaceX and Tesla merges, why would you buy SpaceX? Well, it's all about pricing. You know, I treat them as totally separate companies, and I invest in the company that I think has the better deal. Because if they merge and you have the better deal, you have the better deal. There's no reason to have more than 10 SpaceX stock. There is a reason. I have 10. Because I hate to have one in my portfolio. It just irritates me. So I have 10, but only for tracking reasons, so I can see the price in real time when I trade. So in principle, I agree with Daniel. I just add a 0. Exactly, Eclectic Gamer is completely right, very true, but mechanically only 4.2% of the stock is for sale right now. Only 4.2% of SpaceX stock is float right now, and 95.8% are not in the market, and they will all come into the market, not all, but 60% of that will come into the market by November. Let that sink in. All pure selling pressure. It's not good. Ken says, beware of the medical industrial complex. Yeah, these people are the ones that are most likely to kill you. Of all the risks in your life, the medical industrial complex is by far the most likely to kill you. Like, it's not even close to anything. It all depends on the price ratio, any type of merger, exactly. Any analysis on how Elon has an overwhelming 85% voting rights? Ask Kenny. Yeah, that's very easy to explain. He has 10x votes, 13 billion shares. He has 5 billion shares or something. So he has 50 billion votes, and the rest has only 6 billion votes. So he has 10x voting shares on SpaceX, which also means it doesn't matter at what ratio they merge with Tesla. He will always have overwhelming control over the new entity. AI already has been bought off by the medical industry and has stopped answering deep medical questions, referring you to a doctor. Ask about your cancer treatment with parasite treatments. Yeah, of course. Of course. SpaceX bottoms at 140. I don't know. I'm not betting on any specific bottom. Peter Mountain asks, Joe, if SpaceX goes down to 100 plus minus in November or December, but the merger starts at the end of August. This is very complicated questions that I cannot answer because it all depends. There are too many unknowns here. If the merger happens, of course, all these prices change. But that's also why I don't agree with Alexandra that the merger will happen so early. There are 10 million problems with that from a fiduciary and compliance. If you only have 5% float, this is all not good. Bogdan says you're 100% right regarding doctors not knowing shit. I am one. I was a resident in radiotherapy, decided to not do medicine while in uni and switched 5 years ago, and now I'm a DevOps engineer. Very smart. Yeah, I'm from a medical family. I'm surrounded by doctors. I know them. But doctors can be very nice, they can be very smart, but they have tons of blind spots. And the problem is also, like, most doctors are specialized, and then they think they're super smart because they do their specialization, but they totally like, for example, no one is a preventative medicine doctor, but preventive medicine is the key for health. You know, if the vast majority of deaths are based on chronic diseases, cardiovascular, metabolic, cancer, and neurodegenerative diseases. These four make up the vast majority of deaths. All of them can only be fought preventatively. And that's not a topic in medicine, which is very, very bad. So there you have it. That drop was brutal, never ending, liquidated my 50x position. 50x? 50x? That sounds a little extreme. Yeah, I also was forced out of some, had to roll around. It was very annoying. Google owns like 10% of SpaceX. So Elon plus Google, that's 55% float. Got to figure there's another 10 to 25% locked up, no risk of liquidating, so there's likely only another 15 to 20% of free float. No, that's not float. Float is like what is actually floating, like in the market. So none of them can sell anything right now, and they're allowed to sell 60% float. Float doesn't mean that you're selling it. Float means you're allowed to sell it. There's no way SpaceX doesn't see a test of 135 IPOs. Yeah, I'm not betting on anything. I know there's a lot of downward selling pressure coming. That doesn't mean it sells off, but it means there's only pressure to the downside, in my opinion, and there needs to be massive catalyst to the upside to withstand that. No reason to speculate on the Tesla merger until there is actually a merger. Says Austin 4, this is my opinion. Yes, this is too speculative. Here, Bogdan says, but I'm not talking about longevity. That will be solved by current efforts. I'm talking about enhancements. What should we enhance and what not? I'm totally against enhancements. I don't like it. I think that's nuts. I'm for longevity. And longevity is not, well, solved by current efforts. That would be a big deal. Longevity doesn't mean you live to 90 and are healthy. Longevity ultimately means you're not dying. I don't think we're there. How do we solve our brain biases, feature or bug? This is all stuff that's easily manageable right now. That's in your mind. That's in your mind. That's the Pioneer Academy. Hopefully you can launch this stuff. This is what we are dealing with, how you train your mind. Marty Party, I would love to see, I would replace my Cybertruck with a bulletproof 6-seat APC in a heartbeat. Yes. Oh, we have so many questions today. So your guess is that the merger only takes place next year in Q2? I'm cautious on this stuff, but I see it more next year than this year. I think Alexandra is a little crazy with her. It's happening in July. Who knows? I'm always listening to what she says, but I'm not necessarily buying it. Joe, why not wait until after SpaceX joins NASDAQ, or even better, wait until more shares unlock before you short position? What you're thinking? Well, Richie, I'm not shorting it. Very important. I sold 180 calls short and not too many. So I'm fading the position in. I'm taking my first shot at shorting that thing because I think they will have a hard time getting to 180. If they get to 180, that's good for me. Then I wait until it tops out and then I double down so my short grows. So this is like the equivalent of dry powder in reverse. So when I do shorting, I don't short stocks. I only short out of the money calls. GD expression always looks like he has an upset stomach. Yes. I'm 83, says Austin 4. Walking 3 miles every day. Health is the most important thing in life. Absolutely. We have to ask Austin 4 for tips because 83 is good and walking 3 miles is also very, very good. Walking is great and other things, nutrition, everything. Eclectic Gamer, I don't know if you're right about this. Merge date must happen after Elon's unlock date. I don't know if that's true. If that would be true, that's another 360 days. Best guess on when the Roadster announcement happens? No, I quit on the Roadster. I don't know. Why buy calls or puts options instead of real stock? What's the advantage? That's a long story. But basically you're buying or selling or whatever you want to do, a lot of risk buffers here if you do it right. Options are basically designed to engineer risk much better. For example, look at short calls 180. In order for me to lose money on this, SpaceX would need to go up to 180 and above to 187 by July 24th or something. Okay, that's a bet I'm much more willing to take than shorting the stock, so I lose money immediately if it goes up from here. I wouldn't be comfortable with that. But if it goes all the way, if it runs up all the way to 187 or whenever my break-even point is, I'm totally fine with that because I think that's overshooting and then it allows me to double down on the short. So that's how it works. Richie Cashew. Smart Cookie Joe, thanks. Thank you. Stem cells will extend life almost indefinitely. Well, it's not that simple. Sure, maybe they play a role. Austin 4, married to same woman for 65 years, home cooked meals, avoid fast foods. Well, that's very good for you, Austin 4, but nowadays that's not possible anymore. You can't be married to the same woman for 65 years because you can only get married when you're 40 or something. That's a long story. But you guys got it better back then in that respect. That sounds good. Austin 4 has a good life, it seems. Eclectic Gamer 5144. There are advantages and disadvantages of options versus stock. Advantage, massive multiplier, disadvantage, potential forced losses. It's a very long story. You can use options for leverage. You can use options for risk engineering. Options are beautiful, but you have to be cautious. And you can do infinite things with options, but you need to understand them. Okay, guys, this was a long session. We have to wrap it up now, but that was fun to have you guys on. As always, we are probably going to be live tomorrow too, because my editor is not in tomorrow, so I have to do live. And Sunday will also be live. So many live sessions. I'm working on a new technology, by the way, that we have like news. The most important news each day or every second day or also each week. And you will find them on Pioneerlands, but I can also do shows on the most important news and we can engineer them. Let's see how this goes. Very good. Here, Eclectic Gamer can explain the options to you. Awesome. Then thank you guys. And see you tomorrow. Happy 4th of July. Bye-bye.